Here we go. All right, good morning, everyone. I think we probably have everyone joining this breakout room. I really appreciate the time. I was invited by the Yes Bets team to host a breakout room to kind of describe a little bit about what we do over here in commerce, especially in our division of the Office of Economic Development and Competitiveness. My name is Keith Swenson. I am the Deputy Assistant Director for the division. And I'm really excited for the opportunity to just kind of give a high-level overview, if you will, of what our division does. We are very much a small business, employer-focused unit, division, if you will. And also have a few programs I'd love to highlight for everyone that I hope will bring some value to your morning. Department of Commerce, you can see we're as an agency, there's a lot that we do. It crosses over from housing to human service components, and also economic development, which is the division that I represent. OEDC is our acronym. Again, it's the Office of Economic Development Competitiveness. We direct Washington State's economic development strategy. We work with stakeholders and partner with groups around the state to deliver services to small businesses. I'm going to focus this morning on our division units, 3, 4, and specifically like this: our business development team, our small business export assistance team, our small business training education unit, and our small business and community support unit, which is new, which I'm excited about. Looking forward to sharing that with you. And we also have a 5th, which is our industry sector leads. These are folks that spend their time thinking about the strength and competitiveness of our industries, large industries around the state of Washington, to hopefully continue our growth and expansion in the state and to bring a resilient economy forward. So what I'm going to do is this morning we'll go through a few of these units that we have in our division and what they do, and specifically a couple of the programs that I think could be beneficial to small business owners like those on our call today. We have, like I said, 5 units here, and the first business development unit we'll go through. Here's some of the work that they do on a daily basis. They really focus on business recruitment, retention, expansion, foreign direct investment, strategic reserve fund, which is a kind of grant fund, if you will, to support businesses that are looking to expand or be recruited into the state of Washington and opportunity zones. Our export assistance team focuses on business matchmaking, so B2B work for exporting and importing products. They provide market intelligence, risk mitigation. They have federal STEP grants that I'm going to get into a little bit later. It's a great opportunity for Washington businesses to get a little bit of help on exploring and potentially expanding into foreign markets. And they also lead a lot of our trade missions, from industry missions to government missions as well. Our small business training and education team, they really focus on the entrepreneur, right? There's a lot of great content in there. They have areas of training. A lot of it tends to be free, which is fantastic. We've been able to contract with some great content managers to provide a lot of services for entrepreneurs that are looking to expand again or move their business through a growth cycle from startup all the way to expanding markets. Then our new unit is small business finance team. So this is a new unit that we've stood up through funding from the state legislature and the federal government over the last couple of years around COVID response funding. So think of this unit as really focusing on capital and access to capital. One of the programs I want to focus on is currently active is called the Small Business Flex Fund. I'll get into that a little bit later. We also have some credit initiatives, our state small business credit initiative from the feds that is designed to get more access to capital into the marketplace. We're really excited about the opportunities there. We're currently working with the federal treasury to get approval for our programs, but I thought I'd take the time to run through a few of those programs that could be coming down the road here that could be very beneficial to folks around the state. And then, as I mentioned before, our sector lead team, as you can tell, they're kind of our policy folks that focus on, partnerships, workforce, and industry alignment around the state of Washington. This page here is really what I wanted to share with you about how does OEDC and the Department of Commerce, where are we putting our focus? In the last couple of years has been an economic challenge around the state, especially in our small business community. We're really putting our efforts and focus on restarting and recovering and rebuilding. We focus on an equitable recovery, especially around the state. We want to ensure that all corners of the state of Washington are receiving and have access to services and capital, if you will, to help small businesses grow, be more resilient, and do all the economic development work, if you will, around the state, and not be too centric in one area versus another. We also have a focus on increasing our resiliency for small businesses. There's always disruptors in the economy, so how can we help provide tools and resources to mitigate some of the risks that small businesses have when there are disruptors in the economy. When we get new programs through the state or federal government, we want to make sure that they're flexible and responsive programming, right? So one of the great lessons learned that we've been going through is how do we make access to these programs easier, more accessible, especially, as a private small business owner myself years ago. I mean, your time's really focused on your business, right? And so how can we not be a barrier to the access, but rather help you all get access to what you may need moving forward? So that's definitely on top of our mind as we build out programming in the future and currently as well. And then we're really focusing on, getting some of those competitive funds from the federal government or the state to help circle that back to our communities, so they can, get the resources they need to grow their businesses or reactivate their businesses or start up a brand new business, if you will. So our first unit I want to kind of dive into is our business development team. They're a great group of folks that really do represent and get around to all corners of the state of Washington. Like I mentioned before, their focus is recruitment of businesses, retention, so keeping businesses here in the state of Washington, and expansion. So a lot of businesses here are growing. They need resources to help maybe expand their manufacturing base, whatever those needs may be. They provide no-cost, confidential assistance helping companies do business in the state of Washington. They are a great resource for site identification around the state of Washington as well for expansion or relocation. They provide research for new markets. They are also fantastic on leveraging the partnerships we have with the state of throughout the state of Washington for the Department of Commerce, potentially make some partnerships for businesses as well and the needs that they have, from local associate development organizations or ADOs to statewide programs as well. Like they do a great job connecting folks to the resources that they need. That's not always through Department of Commerce, for example. We all know regulatory and permitting challenges exist in the state of Washington, as everywhere in the country. But what they really can help provide is assistance in navigating those pathways, and also coordinating workforce training. Our small business export assistance unit. This is the unit that I mentioned before that really focuses on international trade and market expansion. They have great focuses on B2B matchmaking meetings when we do trade missions or government missions as well for industry. They do hybrid and in-person trade shows, virtual missions, workshops, and hands-on export trainings with experts and market research webinars. They do a fantastic job throughout our team here, really ensuring that from a business owner perspective, you're getting access to resources you need should you feel ready and want to explore the option of expanding your market outside the state and the country, if you will. One of the programs they are key on is the STEP voucher export program here. This is a federal SBA program where the state of Washington has a bucket of money, And we set up a grant program for businesses to apply where they get up to $10,000 per grant. And you can get up to 3 of these per year. And what they're really geared for is helping provide a little bit of assistance to businesses that want to like attend an international trade show. It can cover some of the fees there. It can also cover the airfare travel, compliance testing existing product into an export market, even international shipment of products and samples, and all the work that goes into that endeavor. Costs associated with IP protection, expert research tool subscriptions. There's a lot of fantastic eligible expenses that this grant can go towards in helping businesses really want to explore the export market. The state of Washington does really well in this program, and there's a lot of great success stories of businesses, small, medium, and large, that are able to really leverage this resource into growing their businesses into foreign markets, and likewise. Our small business training and education unit. This team is full of professionals around the state that partner with experts in the area of like training, especially for entrepreneurial growth. Under this training module, you see a bunch of resources they undertake, which is a small business playbook. There's an entrepreneur academy, creatives academy. All of these great resources are to really be an assistance to the business owner, but of whatever the need they have to get their business to where they want it to be. Some of these in the private sector can be very expensive. These are all subsidized and are often offered in a free capacity. And we're excited to bring that out and offer it up. We have some programs here of Scale Up, Thrive, Mentorship, Retirement Marketplace, and Go Global, which is a new program we're really excited about, that brings more resources to businesses that want to improve their web or e-commerce, if you will, to help get their business out there in the marketplace. And also the tools that they provide. They have a great new one of this disaster release app. And basically it's, hey, what does a business need to think about if there's a disaster in your area? It could be anything from a natural disaster to an economic challenge, but it's a great resource and tool that I think our team's been able to put together that is free for folks to take a look at. And again, all of the focus in these modules is to really provide value to the business owner when we know that in their normal times they're extremely busy, right? Always focusing on the growth of their own business. The Go Global, as I just kind of mentioned, is a really exciting new program. It's launching here soon. It's up to $4,000 grants for businesses to enter e-commerce, right? So they can either use it to build a new website, update an existing website, improve their social media and strategic strategies around getting marketing advantages out into the marketplace to get your profile out there, and to really get some strategies around your e-commerce work plan. We're really excited for this to roll out. In the chat where I put the link, if you will, to the commerce website, there's a little bit more details on this rollout. Again, $4,000 can get you quite a bit when it comes to all of this work and resources available to you as well. So we're really excited about this. I think it's a great program that is very timely as we're trying to kind of relaunch our economy in the state of Washington and really get to a resilient place in the future as well. This is our new small business and community support unit, and it's the unit I was mentioned earlier that we really focuses on access to capital right now. An example of a current live program is the Small Business Flex Fund. This is a access to capital program that was stood up through the CARES Act, the federal dollars, where businesses can get access to low interest working capital to support their businesses as they, either relaunch or grow or expand into this economy post-COVID. You can borrow up to $150,000. Like I said, there are low interest rates, which in this interest season now is very attractive, 3 to 4%. no fees and interest only for the first year. You don't start paying in the principal till month 13. There's 60-month low terms. What, again, as I mentioned, is one of our goals in setting up programs is to really think about it from the business owner perspective. And a lot of that comes with fatigue around applying, right? So we try to simplify that process and using a centralized portal where you kind of put in a bit of a profile of what your business looks like. And then this is really a designed program to have a lot more a consultative process, if you will. So if you match up meeting the minimum requirements, like having fewer than 50 employees or avenue revenues of less than 3 million, you do have to have a direct economic hardship due to COVID, but frankly, everyone in the state of Washington can show that. The bar of proof is very low, because if you were in business during that time, you definitely experienced economic hardship. But as back to my point of easy, access, once you put in your profile, then you actually get matched with a local lender. One of our key initiatives is to ensure that every community around the state of Washington is different, right? So how do we match you with like local lenders that kind of know your community, know your business, and help you navigate, is this the right debt product for you? It's not a grant, so it's a loan that is has a payback period. But I think getting tied to a local lender really helps business owners understand, hey, what are the options out there? Is this the right product for you? And if it is, great. I think it's a great opportunity to help businesses get access to low cost capital and to use it in a way that's very, very flexible. And it's the name of the Flex Fund. So you use it from payroll to utilities and rent. A lot of operating costs are all covered under this current program that's live now. If you just go, I think I have the website here, but if you just go to smallbusinessflexfund.org, this is administered through the National Development Council. So the Department of Commerce, we help stand up this fund, but it's administered by NDC, National Development Council. There's even some contact points there on the website. Commerce doesn't run this program, but we are a partner of it. Some really exciting programs coming down the road when it comes to capital and access to. So SSBCI is a federal funding program through ARPA funds. And the state of Washington has been given a pot of money of $164 million to set up capital access programs around the state to help small businesses. And what's different about this from the Flex Fund is this does not have the same COVID impact requirement. So what that means for business owners is a lot more of a flexible program. So that requirement from the Flex Fund where you have to show proof of COVID impact, that doesn't exist in this program. So we can actually go from access, providing capital access to not only existing business, but even startups or any business throughout the growth cycle of a small business, from startup all the way to growth and expansion, if you will. I wanted to share with you all 4 of the key lending programs that we are working with Treasury to get approval on. Just a little insight in the process. I am working currently with Treasury to get approval of these 4 programs. Once Treasury says, hey, those look great, then the Department of Commerce can stand these up with lending partners around the state to provide these services, right? So I'd like to run through these really quickly. The Capital Access Program. So basically, this is a Flex Fund 2.0, if you will. So it's going to be modeled very similarly as the current Flex Fund, but again, removing some of the COVID barriers that exist currently, and introducing more of probably a higher level of lending. So be north of that 150,000, for example, floor, and it's actually even more flexible when it comes to use of funds than the current Flex Fund. And then, we're learning a lot through our current lending program to try to bring more flexibility to the lender options as well. Right now, we partner with all the CDFIs, or community development financial institutions around the state. All of those are nonprofits, and they're designed to really use a consultative process with business owners to say, hey, is this, this the right, debt product for you kind of approach, as I mentioned before. We've also recommended to Treasury a revenue-based capital access program. What we've learned through just normal lending options is there's kind of this, if you think of like venture capital, it's money up front that, there's a third party there that, kind of controls or has a controlling interest in the business. A lot of business owners are like, hey, we like the option of getting, capital up front, but relinquishing more control of their business is not as attractive, right? Even though they get access in many venture capital funds to experts to help them in their work, that component of control gets to be a challenge. So between a traditional debt product like the Flex Fund and a venture capital product, a revenue-based loan is very, very innovative in the sense that, the business owner maintains control of the business, but what they do is they get the capital up front, but you do not pay it back until you show positive revenue flow through the business. So it's a really innovative tool that we can, implement that I think can provide a little more flexibility to a small business owner. And then obviously, I just already mentioned before, the Venture Capital Access Program. This is our attempt to provide more capital to startups and see if we can't help launch the next new success story in the business community, which is a really exciting idea. We also are setting up a collateral support program. A collateral support program is basically, it's designed is to complement SBA's 504 loans. So if a business needs a little bit more of a collateral, or they have the lack thereof to get access to the loan, this program supplements that to get you into your larger SBA loan. These were very successful in our 1.0 of SSBCI about a decade ago, and we want to continue and expand that current program. All of these are designed to kind of, if you think about it, really trying to add a little bit more flexibility in the type of capital access program. Again, every business, just like every community, is different. A lot of businesses are different too. The need of a business can differ. And so a traditional debt product might be great for some, but maybe others are actually looking for venture capital. Maybe you're a startup that's happened in the last 12 months, and you need some capital in that, phase of your business. Or just larger infusion of a loan that you need some more collateral, right? So we're really trying to get a diverse product line out there to help businesses in whatever position their businesses in their own growth cycle, which is really rather exciting. One of the last things I want to share here is the contacts for our units. So our business development team is led by Roddy Simeonova. She's a managing director for that team and is an absolute fantastic resource. So if anything around business development, when it comes to growth, retention, expansion, market analysis, she's a fantastic resource, has a great team, and is always willing to entertain questions or just looking for insights in what they do. Our small business export assistance program is led by Isabel DeWolf. She's the managing director for that team. Our small business training and education team is led by Rob Zur, our managing director for that team. And our brand new unit, small business and community support unit, is Linda Womack, and our managing director. I wanted to provide all their emails so in case any of these areas of interest are for you. They're a fantastic resource, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to hopefully connect with a bunch of folks that are on this call as well, in case there's any more further information you need. I kind of did a high level run through of what OEDC does within commerce. I wanted to leave a bunch of time for us to have a conversation. Any questions you have through current programming that we have going on. I know we had a closure just recently, if not now, of a Working Washington Grant 5 program, which is tailored a bit towards specific industries. But I really wanted to have a conversation as well to learn from you all of what you're seeing out there, the challenges that we can be, helpful in from the Department of Commerce side of things. And also, if there's any other further kind of deeper questions you have in any of our programs or our units and what we can provide, I'd love to talk about it. So that's it. That's the run of show for my presentation. I hope I didn't put anyone to sleep on our death by PowerPoint lives we live in these days, but I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to kind of share about what we do. I don't think we're the most known small division within the state government. So a lot of our work is really designed to help communities and small business owners around the state. We're a great access for just, partnering with anyone locally. So a lot of businesses come to us and say, hey, listen, I have a challenge, whatever it may be. It could be workforce all the way to, capital access, or, a great example is there was a huge fire up at Friday Harbor. We were reached out to say, hey, what can you do to help? And we were able to tag some local resources. And at the time, we actually had a disaster relief grant that we were able to help out that local community too. So we are really excited to expand what we do around the state to ensure that we are reaching all communities around the state of Washington. So we're really thankful for being here. And if there's any questions or follow-up or just general feedback from what you know to be true, I'd love to take a few minutes to have a back and forth.
Hi, Keith. This is Monique, the moderator. First, I wanted to thank you very much for coming and presenting to our organization, the Yes Vets Partnership, and all of the employers that have participated in Yes Vets. Now, do you collaborate with SBA? With the Small Business Administration?
We do very much. And in fact, the last 2 years, especially with all the, federal assistance coming down for states to do recovery grants or disaster grants and whatnot, we've had probably the strongest relationship now with SBA than we ever have, to be honest with you. So they're one of our key stakeholders on the federal side. So they ran like the PPP, for example, and others. And so I've been kind of working with them and providing feedback of what I hear and how the programs are, to be an advocate, if I will, for the state of Washington small businesses. Say, hey, listen, here's what we're hearing that's going well. Here's the challenges, and so on. So yeah, it's a great question. We do a lot with SBA for sure.
So if somebody, if they're experiencing issues, should they reach out to both you and SBA, or would reaching out to you just get them on the right path and you would connect them with those additional resources, or
I
help triage them?
That's a great question. And I don't think it hurts, right? So what I can do is help advocate for you. If you're getting stuck somewhere with SBA, you want to tag me on a question to SBA, or trying to get resolution to an issue you might have with either one of their programs or not. It doesn't hurt, right? I can have some conversation with them and say, hey, listen, are you getting back to this business, or are they the right source to go to, and redirect if we need to? Because I know there's a lot out there. There's a lot of programs, for example, a lot of resources. And often one of the biggest challenges is just navigating, where do I go, right? So I can definitely and my team can do that for you. So if you ever want to tag one of us on a CC back to SBA, I don't think it hurts. And when we can kind of hear about some of the challenges that the community is hearing, then we can help advocate for making it a better process.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was just going to say, while we wait for a little bit more, in case some folks have some questions, this is our first, I think, opportunity to come and present. And my intention for this first go around was just to kind of give a high level an introduction of who we are, from a small business perspective. And for the Department of Commerce, it's such a vast array of issues that we cover. Like I said, from housing to local government to energy, broadband, and then you have OEDC, where we are, if you think, the way I think about it, we're the economic developers for the state of Washington, right? So it's not often we get to get out there and try to spread the word of what we do. And if I'm fortunate enough to come back, what I'd like to do now is, after the introduction, is maybe pick a couple of our programs that could be very beneficial to employers here, to really give a bit of more of a deep dive into our program. So we'll hopefully do that next go around as well.
That sounds great. Yeah. We've got about 20 minutes, about 15 or 20 more minutes if we have any questions in the audience. We have, it looks like mostly WorkSource staff, but we do have a few employers as well. But this is great information for our WorkSource staff as well.
Yeah, it's funny. We do a lot of presentations these days in Zoom, and I tell you, when I put these together, it goes a lot longer than when I actually deliver it. I don't know if anyone else experienced that. So sorry if I was kind of quick in the presentation, but I think we're going to post the presentation as well. So if there's anything you want to go back to that might spur some more questions, our emails are on there. My contact's on there too. So if there's any, question that arises later, please don't hesitate reaching out to us. We love to connect.
Fantastic. And then our staff, our local veteran employer representatives, can facilitate that connection as well. Like if they're working with an employer, the employer reaches out to them, the leaver can reach out to you or to me, and then I can reach out to you. But we'll make sure we get them all connected. So, yeah.
My name is Kyle Schnell. I work for Boeing Employees Credit Union, now BECU, and I am the manager of recruiting for that organization. BECU is a credit union, so we're open to anybody that lives, works, worships, goes to school, has a family member in the state of Washington. We're different than commercial institutions or commercial financial institutions because we're owned by our members instead of shareholders and stockholders. So everything that we do goes back to our membership. So I've been at BECU for a little over 12 years, and that entire time I've been in the military. I'm an Air Force reservist. I've actually deployed 4 different times while I've been at BECU in those 12 years. I think it's always a concern of the veteran when they're having to deploy in that type of situation, what's going to happen back home, job-wise, what have you. And it can be a stressful situation. However, every time that I've deployed while at BECU, my team and the organization has made me feel entirely supported. They've let me know that, it's okay, go do your thing, help support the country, come back, we're here waiting for you when you get back. I know for our organization, it's very important for our employees to be tied back into the community through volunteer activities. And so having partnerships with the military and with Yes Vets and being able to hire veterans, we can keep them working in the community as well. Sometimes people have a hard time translating their military experience or their veteran experience into the financial industry. I would challenge people to think outside the box a bit when it comes to that experience. A lot of times, a lot of people say, well, I don't have direct sales experience having been in the military. I try to educate people around the fact that, you don't have to be able to sell that magical pen to somebody. It's really about your negotiation skills and your relationship building skills. Most likely you've been in a new situation with new people, whether that's on deployment or at home station, and you've had to really negotiate, different programs or processes. You've had to sell yourself when you're introducing yourself and letting people know kind of your experience and the value that you bring to the table. Those are the same skills that we look for in a lot of our positions at the organization and throughout the financial industry, whether it's our company or different financial companies.
Washington State. That was it for the video. So if there are any questions, we'd love to answer those. And if not, we will meet back up with you guys in the main room.